Chris, Charles, Larry Ryan just joined us. There's a lady named Bonkoch Tojan, I don't know her, and Petra Foster, and there's me and you.
I threw the link into a bunch of moms groups this evening, so
yeah.
Hopefully my Aweber is down. That's what ended up making my whole computer freeze up. I don't know what the heck. I couldn't get an email out today.
We are broadcasting, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
So the whole world is listening to you. It's okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Prophet with Angel and Len. So we're really glad you're here. Let us know in the chat. I know, Petra, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing out of bed? So Petra's maybe, I guess she's still up. She hasn't gone to bed yet. What's that, Chris? We have, but yeah, Larry's here. Hi, we've spent the day together. There we have it. Angel, do you want to jump in here with anything?
I just am happy to see everybody here again tonight, and I'm super excited for what we're going to be talking about. I think what we're going to be covering is really important, and it's just had such an impact on my life that I'm super excited to get into it tonight.
You're breaking up just a skosh. I don't know if anyone else is picking that up.
Really?
Yeah. Petra says she's in bed. Okay, Petra. We'll try not to keep you awake. Before we start into tonight's agenda, I want to do a little reset. I want to remind you, why are we calling this Prophet with Angel and Len? For those of you who may not have been here last week. And what we're going to do is we want to cover the stuff that's going to get you from where you are today and get you to the profit-making activities as quickly as we can. But we're not going to make any assumptions about what you know and don't know. So we're starting at the beginning as if you're new. And I know that some of you out there have been doing this for a while, and some of what we're going to cover tonight you may have heard before. But I'm not so sure about that. Angel?
I agree. I think what we're covering tonight is a little bit of a spin on some stuff, and you and me bring some pretty cool yet different points to the table, and I'm really excited. I love that you and I really resonate really well on the mindset stuff and how important it is, and I think everybody's going to be excited and changed by tonight.
So we're going to talk about mindset tonight, and maybe through the phone lines I can hear somebody going, oh no, mindset again? I've heard mindset. I don't need mindset. And what I'm going to tell you is this. A lot of the people that train on mindset talk a lot about your why and having the why that makes you cry. And, you know, that's really important. But it is not the most important and the most fundamental piece of mindset. And the other thing that people talk about is vision, and vision is very important too. But we're going to take a little bit of a different spin tonight, and we're going to go deeper into the human brain, into the mind, into the thought processes, and basically how we got here, and what are some of the things that really cause our limitations and prevent us from being successful. What are some of the things that really make the vision and the whys and all those other things so vitally important to our overall success? So, okay.
No, I just wanted to kind of throw in there too, like when you say about the why, that I found I had a huge why, and I think most people do have a big why, and that's why this industry is so appealing and why working from home is so wonderful, because you have a why, you have a reason you want to do it. And I kind of found that before learning this mindset information and before really changing the way I think, my why was almost dragging me down. Because I was so focused on my why and my immediate reasons and the reasons why I needed this to work, that I was limiting what I was capable of doing because I was only seeing the situation that I could get out of. So that's why I think a why is awesome, but mindset is the key.
So we're going to jump into mindset in a slightly different way with some interesting, different material than I think you've seen from any of the other trainers on mindset. So having said all that, here we go. I'm going to share my screen, and everyone, almost everyone who's on here knows me personally, and I know you know Angel, and I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and I'm going to ask you to be really honest and tell us if this is valuable and if it's helping you. So use the chat, and also if you have any questions, throw them up in the chat, and we'll get to, well, I think the Q&A is also enabled. I'll enable Q&A, so if you have questions you want to throw in the Q&A, you can put them there too, because as you know, the chat can scroll by too fast. Sometimes we won't see it. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. I'm going to share the entire screen. Share. And hopefully you can see my screen. And Angel.
You bet. I see it.
You can see it. You can hear me. So here we go. Here we go. Profit with Angel and Len. The first real session. Last week we covered a lot of our personal background. So here we go. Tonight, we're going to spend tonight talking about mindset, goals, and we're going to get to vision. And we're not going to finish it tonight. And I think you'll understand why in a little bit. What I want to talk about is a new you. Over the next period of time, we're going to begin to form some new thought processes in you that's going to help you succeed. And we're going to talk about the importance of mindset. And I'm going to tell you straight up, mindset is the single most important factor in determining whether or not you will succeed in anything, really, not just in a home-based business, but really in anything in life. And as has been said by many of the other trainers, mindset is something we have to do basically every day. And we're going to talk about why that's true tonight. We're going to actually look at the fundamentals that cause it to be absolutely true, that if we don't work on our minds daily, we will not succeed. We're going to look at what are we doing here? How do we get here? And we're going to look at the opposing forces that influence our thoughts. And Angel, jump in here anytime you want to. I don't want to be the one doing all of the talking.
No, that's okay. You're doing wonderful.
And you know, we all have fear, and many of us raised in a world where scarcity thinking was our dominant thought processes, and we've reached adulthood with a mind full of garbage that we just have to get rid of, coming from our early programming. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at why so many people struggle with success and what we have to do, each of us as individuals, in order to achieve the success that we want in our life. So I hope you're excited to look at some of these issues. And as I promised you, we're going to look at them from a slightly different viewpoint than you've seen in recent trainings. That's a pregnant pause to see if Angel wants to jump in here.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot different. And from who I see that's on here tonight, I mean, it's all people who understand the importance of this, that's for sure, and who have been practicing it. And so it's always fun to take a couple of opinions and put them together and see what we come up with. And I think the base of what we have here tonight is pretty amazing.
So actually, I'm going to take, this is something that I've taken from Ray Higdon. I want you to ask yourself what you hope to accomplish tonight. Why are you here? Because we're going to start to form a new you, a person who really has purpose in life and is moving forward with vision. There's a new you starting tonight. You don't waste time, and you set your intentions for everything you do. So I hope you have a clear picture of what it is you want to get out of tonight. And I also probably should mention Felicia Mupo. She does this all the time. We start with the intentions of what we want to get out of it. And if we're not covering things that you'd like to cover, put it in the chat or put it in the Q&A or send us a message and let us know that there's stuff that you want to talk about and we're not talking about it. So
I think
tonight,
good thing I'm just going to chime in. Sorry. I always like how, like Diane will say too, like to turn off the lights and to really focus and to turn off the Facebook and stuff. I think when it comes to mindset, being focused and just closing your eyes, and I know it sounds weird, but it does work. It works when I'm listening to her or anything else on mindset. So if you can kind of get rid of the excess noise, that is always beneficial.
Does that mean turning off the kids too?
Oh, I wish there was a button for that.
Where's the off button? So the new you that we want to build is a you that takes action. You don't procrastinate, and we're going to look at procrastination over the next several weeks too. Off and on, we're going to do mindset. Almost every week, we're going to do a little bit mindset and dig into some of the meat of marketing. But we're going to look at procrastination and where it comes from. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. So you're going to be someone who you don't procrastinate. You take action, and you don't feel overwhelmed. We're going to look at overwhelm and where it comes from. And I'm going to cough. And, you know, it's often been said that most people build the airplane, or they build the parachute before they jump out of the plane, but entrepreneurs sometimes jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down. So we're going to talk about taking action and not hesitating to jump in with both feet. And we're going to talk about staying positive and have a positive mindset. And the very first thing that I'm going to say along those lines, and many of you who are on here have heard me say it before, and I'm going to tell you I practice what I preach. You got to turn off the evening news. There ain't nothing on television worth watching. You don't need the evening news. You don't need the newspapers. You don't need the morning news. For God's sake, if you're watching the news, turn it off, throw it away. It's not doing you any good. It's feeding your mind with garbage.
I agree. I think that even, I mean, I know some people have a tendency to not want to let go of that. There's a lot of people that argue that point. I'm like you. I have let go of that. I watch probably a third of the TV that I used to a couple of years ago, and definitely don't follow the news. And I think one thing you can use to get over that need to want to still be in the know is to realize that anything big that happens you're going to find out about somehow because you are active on social media. But the fact that we need to be positive and staying in that positive frame of mind is so important. It's really almost impossible to stay positive and have that type of information coming into your mind, because it does, you're thinking about it, and as soon as you start to think about it and worry, it just undoes the positivity that you have, or that you're waking up with doing your affirmations, and then to follow that up with the news just is pointless. So if you can get away from it, it's so important.
Well, I unplugged. I don't even have I have a television. I have a video player, but I don't have a connection. My TV's not connected to the outside world.
Right.
So, I rely on Facebook for all the garbage I need, and it's full of it. So what I hope to do is convince you that mindset is the most important element for your success, and without it, you will not succeed. And as I said, we're going to dive deeper into our thought processes tonight than probably you have in a long time, and going to improve our understanding of our mind and how it functions. So let's begin. First, I'm going to tell you, I was raised in Catholic schools. And this is nothing against Catholicism and nothing against religion. It just happens to be where I came from. And for years, I was taught that we, human beings, are, quote, made in the image and likeness of God. And I had this vision of God running around looking like a human being. And that really left me very confused for a long time. So I didn't know how this entity that created the universe could be up there running around with 2 arms, 2 legs, and the other parts that I had. So I don't want to discuss religion, but the concepts that came from early childhood were that I had a body and my body had a soul. And when I died, my soul was going to go to hell, probably because of all the sins I committed, and fear of God, fear of the universe, fear of retribution, fear of hell, fear was driven into me. Hellfire and brimstone was all that was taught. And many of us come from similar types of backgrounds. I now believe something totally and completely different. So the question I have for you is, does your body have a soul? And you may want to know what this has to do with making money in your home-based business, but I'm going to tell you this is pretty fundamentally important. And I believe the answer is really no. The body does not have a soul, even if you've been taught all of your life that it does. I believe something upside down. Our soul has a body. We are spiritual beings who have manifested into the physical universe. And as such, the soul, and April, I know you have strong feelings about this, so jump in here. The soul is uniquely us. Go ahead.
No, I just, yeah, we were talking about this earlier today, that the soul is us. I've discovered through this, journey through mindset and reading and watching and learning that we are so much made up of energy, and that it's such a, I was brought up religious and in a positive way, in a really great way. I didn't have those negative associations with religion, but it was the same thing. It was that we are a body with a soul, and once you realize the energy in your soul, and that we really are the soul with a body, it's such a different way of thinking of things, and you realize your true potential.
Well, that's it. The fundamental thing is that we are spiritual beings, and we have the unique ability to tap into infinite intelligence. And some people, some people might call it God. Some prefer source energy. Some want to call it the universe. You can call it whatever you like. But it exists, and it is powerful beyond our comprehension. And the key message in that is, so are you. So are you. You are powerful beyond your comprehension. You have the ability to do anything you want to do. Did you get that? You're powerful beyond your comprehension. You get to determine your life, your results, your outcome. You can shape your future, and you can do it with your mind. How cool is that? You have the ability to shape your future and make it anything you want.
And I think that the power in that too is, growing up, how many times did you hear you can do anything that you set your mind to? And there was no power in those words for me my whole life until these last couple of years, that really truly you can do anything that you put your mind to. And to really absorb that and realize that is almost scary in the beginning. And then once you realize, through what we're going to be talking about in these next couple of weeks, that when you practice it and you really do see that happens, it's pretty amazing, and you feel so powerful, and it starts to sort of reveal to you what you're here for.
And Angel, you can still see the chat, correct?
I sure can.
Okay. I want to ask, is anyone else experiencing any breakup from Angel? Because you are breaking up occasionally. The sound is breaking up a little bit. And I'd like to try to identify where that's coming from so that we can fix it. So maybe you can just take a look and see if anyone else is having that experience with your sound. Okay, let's move on. So what the heck does all that mean? Some of you may be sitting out there saying, Mooney, you've gone off the deep end. I'm out of here. But I want to talk a little bit now about yin and yang. Chinese philosophy, my God, what does that have to do with building my business? But it's really fundamentally important. The Chinese have long believed for thousands of years, and that there are two forces operating in the universe, one negative and dark and one positive and bright, and that these forces interact and influence the destinies of creatures and things. And this is just another way of saying that opposites are always there, and we can't get rid of them. And that's really at the core of what causes our issues with our mind and what we have to do to overcome them. The Chinese have known it for 5,000 years. So, once again, the opposites are always there. Can't have light without dark, can't have positive without negative, can't have good without bad, up without down, left without right. And these opposites derive energy from each other.
One good book too, just kind of while we're in that, if anybody's looking for something new to read, if they haven't read it already, to really understand the opposite energy and how it works, is E Squared. What's her name? By Pam somebody. I can send it to you, Len, to email everybody. But if you've read it, you'll understand what I mean. And if you haven't, it's a bunch of energy experiments, and it really shows you how negative thinking and positive thinking really do affect the energy around you. And so it's a really good way to kind of dive into that idea that there is those opposite forces around us all the time that we don't even realize.
Cool. What was the name of the book, Angel? I missed it.
E Squared, like it's E2, and it's by Pam somebody. I have it. I read it last year, but I can send you the information.
Okay, great. We'll email it out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal, guys. Left unattended, the natural state of affairs is to move toward disorder or chaos. And you all know this. Anyone who's ever tried to raise vegetables knows this. If you don't weed the garden, the weeds take over. What you may not know is that science has long understood this. It's a fundamental principle in thermodynamics. The universe drifts toward maximum entropy. We've known it for many, many years. And what the heck does that mean? A perfect example is herding kittens. You ever try to herd kittens? That's how the universe wants to behave. It really drifts toward maximum disorder. And that's what your mind does too. Left unattended, your mind tends to drift toward maximum disorder. What does maximum disorder mean? It means everything isn't lined up in a nice, neat little column like you were taught to do in grade school. Okay, everybody, line up according to height, line up according to your name, or et cetera, et cetera. That's order. Maximum disorder is, well, it's herding kittens. It's not having things moving continuously in a direction that you want them to move in.
I don't herd kittens, but I try to herd kids.
Yeah, well, sometimes herding kids is slightly easier, but so the message is clear. The message is, if you don't work on your mind continuously, it will move toward disorder and chaos, and the result is all of these things that we all experience: procrastination, fear, guilt, overwhelm, poor health, poor finances, poor relationships, poor sleep. We wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning worried about getting old, getting young, getting sick, being tired, having money, not having money. That is the natural state of affairs. So if you have problems with procrastination or problems with fear or guilt or overwhelm, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. That's the way the universe is actually structured. And by the way, I want to go back. You see the title of that slide, Outwitting the Devil? There is a really phenomenal, powerful book called Outwitting the Devil, amazingly enough. And it's the same author that wrote Think and Grow Rich. And he wrote the book in 1935, 1936, and they put it in a drawer. And they were afraid that if they published the book, the ramifications would be so serious as to cause significant issues for the family. So it is Napoleon Hill's book. And the Napoleon Hill Foundation published the book recently in the last couple of years, Outwitting the Devil. And I've got to tell you, it is really one incredible, powerful book. And if you're not religious, it's okay. You don't have to think of the devil as the kind of devil that I was taught in Catholic schools. You can think of the devil simply as all the stuff that causes the disorder in the universe, the stuff that causes procrastination, fear, guilt, overwhelm, etc. And I just highly recommend that book. All right, traveling on. Is anybody making any comments in the chat?
No, good comments. They're talking, but your sound was a little bit off for a bit, but now it's better. Mine, they can hear me, so it's good.
Okay. Anybody saying this is crap? I'm leaving.
Not that I can see, unless if I'm blocked from seeing it.
So, the major influences of our thought processes, good and evil. It's often been said that our minds are like gardens. We can plant and cultivate positive thoughts, but if we neglect it, the weeds will grow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why it is fundamentally important to work on your mind every day. You can't let it go. Your mind is like a garden. The weeds are, of course, the negative thoughts, the doubt, the uncertainty, the procrastination, the fears, the anxieties, the guilts. And left to its druthers, that is the natural state of affairs. And once again, I'm going to tell you, if you have all these negative feelings, it's okay. It's not your fault. That's the natural order of the universe. That's the way the world you live in is structured. But we can fix that. We can provide order for our minds. But that presents the background of why we have to work on our mind every day and why it is so fundamentally important to your success to take this stuff seriously. So, unfortunately for many of us, fear is huge. We go to bed at night fearful. Fear of poverty, fear of old age, ill health, death, the bill collector. And as long as fear is our dominant thought, that's what we're going to get more of. We're going to get more fear. It stops us more than any other emotion. And when we are afraid, we drift in and out of purpose or action. We procrastinate. Was that something to say, Angel?
I could actually say something here if that's okay.
It's always okay. You're part of this. We love you.
Thank you. I just want to kind of say, like, even though I'm always somebody who's competing with myself. I don't really compete with other people, but I'm always competing with myself. And this is one of the things, being positive and not allowing myself to go into that mindset of fear and worry is something that I'm challenged with all the time. So it's so totally normal to have challenges with that every day. And the things that we're going to show you to do and the ideas that we have and the things that we do, just stop and do those things, and it literally takes it away, because I was someone who was brought up with always having fear instilled. My mom is a person who is a worst case scenario person, so I was always like, I grew up as a hypochondriac. I was always worried that the worst thing would happen. I was always preparing for the worst, and so this has been very hard for me. And so if you're struggling with it, I think it's always going to be something that you work on, and it's habit. It's making it a habit to acknowledge when you're kind of going down that slippery slope of feeling those, old habits come in and those old fears and thinking, and getting yourself out of it, because there's nothing worse than sliding into it and then just thinking to yourself, well, that was just hokey pokey and I'm not even going to bother. It really takes work and habits and making it a priority in order for it to really start changing.
You gotta weed that garden every day if you want vegetables.
That's right.
And again, scarcity is dominant for many of us, and it comes from our upbringing in our environment. A UCLA survey from a few years ago reported that the average 1-year-old child hears the word no 400 times a day.
That's it?
No, you can't. No, you shouldn't. Don't do that. Don't go here. We are programmed with scarcity and negativity from the moment we pop out of the womb by our families, our culture, our churches, our schools. It's no wonder we grow up feeling fear and procrastination and all these other things. It's part of our culture. We're programmed to fail. So if it's true that we have the power to choose how we feel, why do most people choose the negative? It's because while we were born to win, we're programmed to fail by our society, our culture, our families, our friends, the priests, the relatives, you name it, the schools, you name it. Our society is programmed to fail. Now, it may surprise you. I'm sorry. Let me set one sentence. It may surprise you to know that there are still primitive cultures on this earth who don't know anything about our society, who live in the rainforest of the Amazon and are not programmed to fail. They grow up with positive thinking from their families. Is that amazing? I'm sorry, Angel, I interrupted.
No, that totally ties into what I was going to say, because it's true, and I think what you unfortunately have to be prepared for too is that you're not only programmed to fail, but there's a lot of people who want to see you fail. A lot of people who don't want you to break out of that box and succeed at a higher level, because they either don't understand it or they don't. It's jealousy. It's that negative in them that doesn't want you. They can't get it. So be prepared for that, because sometimes that's one thing. If you're limited by what other people think that you can do, it will limit what you can do.
Absolutely. We're going to work on that. We're going to give people tools to overcome that stuff. So this is my most complicated slide, and I can either read it to you or let you read it, but it's a quote from a book called Get Off Your Assets, How to Unleash the Power in You by Desi Williamson. We are, these are just amazing numbers. We're programmed into the negative from the moment we come into this world. It starts with our upbringing. By the time you reach the age of 18, you've heard the word no 200,000 times, seen 30,000 acts of violence, probably more these days. You've received more than 12 million messages in the form of advertising telling you how to look, what to eat, how to feel. No wonder most of us grow up with a negative self-image. And now I'm going to add parenthetically, I had a daughter, I still have a daughter actually, but when she was growing up, the thing that scared me the most were the advertisements on television, because they were drilling a picture of femininity into her mind that is totally at odds with what well, I don't know how to say this, with what a woman ought to be. You know, women in our society, and I'm sure, Angel, you can speak to this more than I. You're driven with this idea that you have to be, well, God, all the models are photoshopped. They're not real. No one can live up to the image. You can't meet the expectation. So you're full of guilt and anxiety and fear.
Yeah, and I see that so much raising a girl. You know, she's 8 years old now. And myself, I think I grew up in a bit of a different time where it wasn't so dominant in a girl's life. You know, we, of course, were aware of it, but I was never, I don't know, I never felt like I should look a certain way. But now I see it so much differently with social media and just with it just kind of being in their lives all the time with this kind of fake world that they live in. It's crazy, the conversations that she comes home and tells me, and just the things that she'll say that I know didn't come from me. It's amazing how they're already being programmed at that age. Yeah,
it's wow. So the question now is, what do we do about it? And we got to install new software. It's that simple. The computer is full of crap, and we got to get rid of the crap. We got to update the program. We got to erase the negativity, and we got to replace it with positive thinking and definiteness of purpose. Now, we all know that we have to work on our mind, but maybe now you know a little bit more about why it's so important, and why when people begin to preach mindset, saying, oh, I don't need any more mindset. I know that stuff. Can we just get to the good stuff? The good stuff doesn't do you any good if your mind isn't in the right place, doing the right thing, and focused and going in the right direction. So let's begin to look at how we install new software. Before we go there, continuing on with this idea that we are spiritual beings who have manifested. Your thoughts determine your reality. And that's a bold statement. We frequently heard, you know, be careful what you wish, you just might get it. I don't know how many of you on this webinar have had that experience in your life where you thought about something, and then it sort of manifested itself. And sometimes that manifestation didn't come right away. It may have come a year or two later, but it showed up and you're going, oh, no, that's what I was thinking about. It's often been said that everything begins with a thought, and these are the real experiences of real people. And we now know that that's fundamentally correct. The most important thing determining your life's outcome are your dominant thoughts. And from John Kehoe's book, another really great book, Mind Power to the 21st Century, it is the nature of thought to try and materialize into its physical equivalent. Wow. Now just think about that. If we go to bed at night thinking about being poor, guess what we get more of? And now we know why. There is sufficient evidence to indicate unequivocally that the mind can and does directly affect physical reality. Now, how powerful is that? And what can we do with it? So mindset. Napoleon Hill taught us in Think and Grow Rich. He said, set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside and let you pass. Well, that's easy for Napoleon Hill to say, but I'll tell you what, if you read Napoleon Hill's book about outwitting the devil, you're going to find out that Napoleon Hill wasn't really very good at this himself. It took him 20 years to believe in his own philosophy. He was bankrupt, poor, living with a relative, and he challenged himself one day to prove that his philosophy could work, because it wasn't working for him. It took him 20 years to reprogram his own mind. So don't get panicky if you can't change your thoughts overnight. But do get panicky if you don't believe that you have to try and you have to begin. The most important determiner of your success is you. And now I'm going to circle back to the beginning of this conversation today. Many mentors tell you to start with your why, but I'm going to tell you that your why isn't big enough. Your why isn't going to get you through the hard times. It's an important piece, but it is not the most important piece. And I believe that you have to start with something much bigger than why. And do you want to toss anything in here, Angel?
I agree. I think that that's so true, and I think I covered that probably more in the beginning there. But yeah, it's digging deeper. If you want big things to happen, you need to start thinking bigger than just what average people are telling you to do.
So where do we begin? Aha. Some of you know it. You've seen it already before. We start with a vision. That's where we begin. We have to create a vision of what we want our life to be like. And if we don't do that, we're not going to get there. If your vision is coming home and sitting on the couch and turning on the television, that's what you're going to get. And you might as well just quit now. But if you want something more in your life, something bigger, something better, then we have to start by creating a vision of what that life is going to look like for you. Angel?
Yeah, and I mean, there's some people where the lifestyle of the couch and TV is totally fine with them. Like that's actually what they want, which is so cool for them. Like if that's whatever you feel inside is who you are, and you can't help that. But I think people who are on here right now, and people that we know, that we talk to every day, when you're coming to find out about mindset and when you're coming to find out about building a vision, it's because there's already something inside you that's told you that you're meant for something, that there's something bigger in you. And sometimes it's some crazy dream, that you've had in your mind for a few years now that you don't understand how it's going to happen. But that's part of your vision, and that can be part of it. And so if you have something inside you, it's because you were meant to do that, and you can get there. So it's fine to want to be average, but if you have that inside you where you know that you're ready to do something different, you're ready to make an impact, that's what we're going to be showing you how to do.
Well, Can we debate? I'm not even sure. I'm not sure I completely concur with the idea that some people just want the lifestyle of plopping on the couch in front of the TV. I think that's something they've been programmed for from birth, and that's all they know. And most of those people will tell you, but oh yeah, I want a big boat, I want a big house, I want a big car, but hey, that's for those other guys. That's not for me. I can't. I'll never have that. They're programmed to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is in them. They didn't start out that way. I guess and I know a lot of people who are like that. And
Yeah.
what I try to do for those people is instead of pushing anything on them, or instead of letting them know that they could do more, is set the example, right? That's the best thing you can do for those people, because sometimes those people will be your spouse, those people could be your parents, your sister, your best friend, and it can really drag on you if you have somebody in your life like that you just can't get why they don't want more. But and so that's pretty much what I was saying, is just that there's some people who are going to be that way, and they're totally fine with it right now, but through you they may see a difference and want to figure out how they can make a difference too.
Well, Diane Hochman has an interesting training on that, and we don't have the time to go into it tonight, but it really does boil down to creating a vision for yourself. The summary is, once again, creating a vision. If you don't have a strong vision of where you want to go with your life, you will end up on the couch watching Debbie Does Dallas or whatever. I don't know. I can't even remember any program. I haven't seen television so long, I don't know what's on television anymore. All I know is it's mostly negative. So let me flip on to the next. We're almost done here, folks. So anyone who's getting a little tired, I'll tell you, we're gonna wrap this up for tonight in just a couple slides. Your vision is bigger than your why. It's who or what you want to become. It's the legacy you want to leave for your family, children, grandchildren. It's the impact you want to have on planet Earth. And this is a little morbid, but I'm going to do it anyhow. I didn't clear this one with you, Angel. So, but I think it was actually last night on the MLSP webinar. I'm not sure, but somebody recently talked about, think about writing your obituary. What do you want your obituary to say about you? Do you want it to say, Len, great guy, spent just about every night on the couch drinking beer, watching television. Yeah, that was him. Or do you want it to say something bigger, something more important? Do you want to have an impact on the planet? Do you want it to say, Len, that's the guy that helped feed the children in Africa, who helped build the wells, who helped save the gorillas? That's what I want my obituary to read. I don't know about you. We're going to wrap this up for tonight. It's already 45 minutes in. Anybody who has any questions? Next week, we're going to dig deeper into your vision. And I'm going to email you a vision worksheet. Some of you have already seen it. Some of you who have been in my Lunch with Len have seen it. I'm going to email it. I hope we're not boring you by going back through the same thing for some of you. But I'm going to email a vision worksheet for you. I'm going to ask you to think about it before next week. I'm going to stop the screen share right now. You don't need to be reading this. I'm going to ask you to think about it before next week. And if you haven't worked on it recently, to write it down and begin to create that vision. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
And you know what? And I don't see any questions in the question and answer. I do see chats.
Yeah, I don't see any questions. One thing I want to add into is I found, and I mean, a lot of people already know this, but really when you're writing out those answers, putting that emotion into your answers. Because even while you're writing this down, while you're working through that worksheet, what you're putting on that paper, you're putting out there into the universe. You're stating that. And so putting that extra emotion of how those things that you're writing actually feel, how they're going to feel, is huge, and you actually feel that inside, like you feel that energy, and once you start to spend some more time on that emotion, it really comes to life, and it changes the whole way you feel in that moment. Like it can take a bad day and just turn it right around, because you just start thinking of those things, and it really just changes everything. So I would highly recommend to like spend some quiet time on that with your emotions. Are you
Chris,
looking at that?
Chris, I am sorry. I don't know where that came from. People are responding to my comment about watching Debbie Does Dallas, and I think
Yeah.
I actually think that was an X-rated movie years ago.
Yeah.
I am sorry. I don't know what brought that into my brain right now. Yeah. Larry Ryan saying, thanks, this was a great hangout. Thanks, Larry, I appreciate that. Anybody else have any comments, criticisms, suggestions? We're going to keep going next week, and I promise you we're going to get to the good stuff. We're actually going to do marketing. We're actually going to do MLMs and home-based business and all that stuff. But for those of you who know, I'm going to say this only one more time tonight. And again, if there's any questions, please put them in the chat. This is the most fundamentally important piece of success in your home-based business. Without it, you won't get there. And so we felt that we needed to start there with the stuff that really counts and move forward into the other stuff. So we're going to go on every Thursday night for what we believe to be a very long time. And we're going to cover all the marketing and we're going to get to Facebook, and we're going to get to Twitter, and we're going to get to all that stuff too. But let's lay a foundation. We're going to build a house here, and the house we're going to build is going to be rock solid and stable. And someone coming back watching this sequence a year or two from now, it's going to be evergreen. They're going to be able to find out what does it take to be successful in my home-based business.
I'm reading the chats. It's hilarious. If you're watching this recorded, you'll want to get on live next time, because the chat's too much.
Jackson wants to know if we're doing Debbie Does Dallas after this evening.
An offer.
Jackson.
An offer. We'll send you to a link after this webinar.
Oh yeah, I'm going to send you folks an email. So look for an email from me that's going to have the PDF of the vision worksheet in it. So for those of you who haven't seen it or have lost it, and go ahead and look for an email from me. Also, if you can send me the book you were referring to, I'll put that in the email. So the email won't go out probably till tomorrow morning, but I will send it.
And if you're watching this and you weren't registered and we don't have your email, reach out to one of us on Facebook and just let us know. And if you're working through the worksheet and you need any help, like between Len and I, we're pretty much accessible at any time during the day. Just send us a message, and this is stuff we've gone through, and it's stuff that we've both taught on and helped people with. So if it's something that you need some help with, then we're always here to, if you need to bounce anything off of us, and sometimes what I found is that you can still have negative words inside of your vision, and so that's one thing you need to correct. So if you're kind of not sure if something fits in or if it's the right way to be wording it, just let us know.
Okay. Jackson said it was a good hangout. What was it? This was fun and deep. And Craig says great stuff. Thanks, guys. Hey, but I'm not just up for the positive comments. I want to hear them. I love the positive comments. But if there's any negative feedback, or let's say constructive criticism, I want to hear that too. And you all know where to find me on Facebook. So unless there's any questions, I don't see any. We're going to call it a night. It's Miller time where I come from. I don't know about you. Larry says fun and fantastic. And great. Sandra, great. Okay. Going once. Going twice. I'm stopping the broadcast. Everybody, we'll see you next Thursday. Same time, same station.
Love you all.
Thanks for coming. Good night.